different regions.
So there should be. Okay, now it's very interesting what you are saying, and I am sure if any channel head sees this, they're going to come after me with a bazooka. But I'm going to say it because you said unfiltered, right? I don't think Hindi entertainment is general entertainment anymore. I think it's a niche. I think the Hindi language itself has become a niche today, just like regional languages are. Because there is no homogeneity in mindset, in culture, in the Hindi-speaking market. It wasn't earlier, but because of a certain socio-economic classing together, right? That you have an X amount of money, therefore an X amount of exposure to the world. You still had some kind of homogeneity in mindset, which today has disappeared. More and more the meters go into the smaller cities. So a lady watching any show, okay, in Gujarat and a lady watching any show in Bengal are two very different people. And the meter system or the Hindi speaking market, as they say, it needs to be redefined for sure. And today I really believe that general entertainment is a mass of niches. But the metering is not done in that manner. There is still a myth of a general entertainment.
The meters are too less to represent the population. We've been through that entire bark system. We've combed it through, and I think the 170,000 meters or something for the entire country of 1.4 billion people, which just doesn't make sense for just the statistical sense is missing over there. But leave aside the ratings. I mean, how do you creatively?
Let me come to that. Okay, now, and this is again something that has happened over 2 decades that I have seen, right? Somehow there is a belief, okay, in the MBAs who run channels, there is a formula. There was a time when creative people led channels. They don't do that anymore. There are very few of them. Very few. I'm not saying there are none, but there are very few. Secondly, if there is that one person, okay, in the channel who is creative and has an understanding, how much bandwidth will that person have in a day to think of original, fresh ideas? Okay, number one. Number two, the writers don't get paid enough to survive on one show alone. Okay, most writers today here, and every writer has a peak time and then they go off the shelf. So every writer knows that they have a shelf life. And they need to, make hay while the sun shines. It's an economic reality for everybody. So most established writers write more than one show. Some write 3-4 shows. And they have assistants with them, and that's how they write it now. And they are writing 6 episodes a week. And here you give an episode, and within 2 days it is on air. That is the kind of timeline, that one follows. And there is constant churn because of the ratings. Like I said, if the ratings go down by 0.1 also, there are meetings called. So the writers in Indian television live a horrid life. The amount of stress.
So tell me this. All right. So, of course, Dhadkan was when we started following your work, but then I looked you up and you've done other shows as well. And your shows have always been a bit different. Your shows haven't been run-of-the-mill saas-bahu dramas where there's an evil auntie with a bindi,
No, I can't do that anymore. I've done that for a very long time in the channel. The whole idea of leaving the channel is not do that anymore.
So refreshing to see a show where there's no evil auntie with a bindi, but a really realistic auntie who goes into the hospital, screams at the girl, because it happens. It's happened. Might have happened with you in my life. It's happened with me in my life. It happens with all of us when people don't understand you, don't like you. They take a position against you and they go all out and they hit you where it hurts. But the situations were more realistic than have ever been shown on Indian television.
Screaming aunties.
Definitely. So coming from the point of view of the fact that a lot of us here who grew up outside of India, who were born, who have little connection to India, the only way we connect back to India on a daily basis is television.
Yeah.
And sometimes the only conversation that we could have with another Indian, or only conversation that we can have with our grandparents, or even our parents for that matter, half the conversation that I would end up having is the shows that we watch or the movies that we watch. So this
Right.
is a very important binding factor for us to
Right.
talk about, right? And we did some focus groups in some schools. We went to, of course, Stanford and Brown and some other schools as well. And we spoke to a lot of Indian kids, and we asked them, why wouldn't you come out of the closet and say that you do watch these serials? You do watch the auntie serials. So
Right.
they said that if we do come out, we'll be so heckled, because
Yeah. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
it is so low society to watch these shows because they're so idiotic. But then they said we do, because at times we sit and have dinner with family and our grandparents are watching it, so we end up watching it because of them, and then we get hooked. But we also know that it's a waste of time. We also know that we're watching it, it's a guilty pleasure, but it's illogical. There are questions that we have that never get answered by our parents or grandparents as to why they've spent years watching those shows. But it's a habit. It's just a matter of habit that they switch on their television and watch it. So the question for them was, then why wouldn't you come out and say that you watch it? He said, because we would be heckled, we would be so berated
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
doing something. Why is watching, you guys put in so much time writing this, doesn't it hurt you when feedback like this comes from
So
an
the
entire
thing is,
generation?
see, yeah. So the thing is, if I do make a show like that, I have to. I really differentiate the feedback that comes from the audience depending on who the audience is, right? So someone like you, I understand you find it illogical. You cannot stand it, not expect it to, because you are not really the target audience of these kind of shows. The women who watch an Anupama, who watch a Kundali Bhagya, every channel in India, like they have their own set audience, right? So the Star Plus audience is a different audience, Colors is different, Sony is different, Zee is different. Yeah, because the programming, I mean, it might seem very homogeneous, but it is not. The programming of each channel is very different. Even within the whole saas-bahu and universe, there are different kinds of saas and different kinds of bahus, and there's a limit to yeah. Once you get down to that, like will she poison someone is a question on Zee and Colors. Oh yeah, on a daily basis.
But
On Star, it becomes an issue.
where is the logical legal aspect of all of this? There was a show. I'll just give you a premise. There's a show where the guy is married to a woman, and they get separated, and his mother marries him off to another woman, who's the other woman's sister, and now they're all living in the same house. How?
Bold and the Beautiful. You remember Bold and the Beautiful?
No, but legally, how?
Oh no, so legally, of course, it is not legal. I mean, that's why the disclaimer works, right? I mean, that marriage is not really a marriage. It is just in
So
India,
how are they spending footage and episode after episode after episode of the other woman wearing a sindoor and Mangal Sutra and all that? What, they could have just wrapped it up into two episodes and told the woman, you're not legally wedded, go away. But she's living there with the woman, and now they're poisoning and killing that other woman. I mean, what is, who is smoking what to write that? For 4 months, they've been literally stuck on that show.
So the people who write
scenario.
Again, like I said, the most unfortunate lot in the television industry here are the writers. You meet these writers, even they won't be able to tell you how they wrote it. It's just, it's just again, audience ko yahi chahiye. There is this Mrs. Sharma from Meerut that we've been talking about for 22 years. कि मेरठ की Mrs. Sharma को ये पसंद आएगी? Hypothetical Mrs. Sharma from Meerut. Okay, now from Meerut it's gone even, So
Mrs. Sharma from Meerut has moved on to Bathinda by now. So
yeah. She's moved on. And So it's this constant struggle, right, with yourself, and we all write in groups. Obviously, television is not a one person written thing, right? So, and all of us have written all kinds of things. Like I'm talking about Dharkan group. If you want to just talk about the people writing Dharkan, so there's me, and there are people who are writing Gum Hai Kisi Ke Pyar Mein. There's someone who wrote Aladdin.
Okay, let's not even go there. Okay.
So it's the same people. So I think the opportunity to write something different is very far in between. That's the sad part of it. Of course, the good thing is OTT is now there. If OTT kind of welcomes television people into their world, then it'll be,
Why not? What's preventing OTT to welcome?
If you look at the genesis, the first people the platforms went to were the filmmakers. They've tried that out, and somehow, again, Meerut, if you were heading, say, one of these channels, and would you hire a person who has written what you hate?
I wouldn't trust that person with a beanpole. But